wrong, what's left, what's right, what's up, what's down. That's logical mind. And when you're doing that, it automatically tells you what you're in is totally and completely ensconced in logical mind. So now there's no question. So why analyze yourself with it?
Really?
See what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Whatever's present, intuition is this simple. It's absolutely, totally, and implicitly the very thing that first floats across your mind. I didn't say brain, I didn't say right or left. It's the very first impression that shows up in the realm of thought. That's the purest sense of intuition, is right there. Here's the interesting thing. It takes that a whopping nanosecond, which is a thousandth of a second, which means you got to be quick. No, not really. All you have to do is be aware, be present in your brain, and you can pick that up.
You know, Stephen, when you say that, that's fascinating because I'm seeing that it's like the right side of the brain sees everything as it is now.
Totally.
And then the left side of the brain breaks it down into little segments we can call time or minutes or seconds or events, you know, past, present, future. But the right side of our brain is operating in the now, and it's observing things in the now. And when we try and relate that or have it try and make some logical sense in our here and now, it rarely does.
Well, because transferring instant data from right brain to left is virtually improbable. Why? Look. There's some things, just let's use something common sense here. Hey, I know, let's try out logic. Hey, how about that? If we go to translate something from another language, Chinese to English, Spanish to English, Portuguese to English, whatever language, some things simply do not translate. Some things simply do not relate. And when we go to analyze the transfer from right to left brain, and that was my concern in the explanation that I offered in the beginning of the show, that people would get caught up in that notion. Just simply don't. Know that that's the process. And when you attempt to figure out what the right brain just gave to left brain, you are going to lose some of the idea in the translation from right to left brain. Look, when we get information in right brain, it comes through in metaphor, not literal. Logic takes things literally, which is why interpreting dreams through the logical mind doesn't work. I mean, a lot of people have horrific dreams, and they have no clue what it means, and they're panicked over it, and they'll call me and say, I had this dream, oh my God, save me, this thing was chasing me, it was going to get me. And I say to them, no. Here's all the dream was showing you. And they go, oh, wow, that makes so much sense. The only difference is my right brain was used to appeal to their logical mind, which calmed them down and set the spectrum for them. Am I the only one that could do that? No. Every single human out there can do it. Every single human was born with the intuitive sense. It's not something that you're really learning. It's something that you are awakening to.
And it's almost as if we're trained out of it. We're taught out of it. Because,
totally.
as you said, as children, most children do have a natural intuition, a natural inclination, because they haven't been taught not to listen to it yet. In fact, we're getting ready to have an upcoming show on the idea that our imaginary friends aren't so imaginary, are they, Stephen?
Hey, you know what? I was born and raised in a Catholic background. I don't mind sharing with people that I am a recovering Catholic, and I mean that in humor, so people, I actually mean it for real. And the interesting to me is when I was growing up, Chad, the family knew of my intuitive sense because I would tell them things that were going to happen through the day, and they did, and then, of course, it was my fault, so I was evil, and they were going to have me exercise and all sorts of things. I think where I'm going is you're correct in the sense that we are conditioned out of it. When you're told constantly that when you hear things and you see things and you sense things that you're an evil person, nobody wants to be construed as evil. Nobody. So we begin to move away from it. The fact of the matter is absolutely every single human alive is implicitly intuitive until they hit the age of about 6 years old. And that's where it begins or becomes shut down. And I think that's more because of conditioning than anything else, Chad.
I do too.
It's because we are talked out of it. I can sit here and say right now, I remember as a child, all my childhood imaginary friends weren't imaginary. I could see them.
Yeah.
I knew they were there. I knew their names. I was talking to them, and you know what? They were talking to me. Most people would say, "You are crazy." Well, I prefer my insanity than your sanity then, in that case, because I know things in advance that you don't know.
Stephen, when I was young, I used to lay in bed at night before I was trying to go to sleep. Of course, I've never been able to sleep. But laying there, I would see, like, pictures of people I don't know, like photographs of somebody else's family album. And I would sit there, and I couldn't even get it to stop was the hardest part. But I thought, why do I see this, and who are these people, and, you know, what is going on here? That was when I was 7. Now I'm looking back, and I can see that, okay, you know, obviously I was picking up something, and it makes a little bit more sense now.
Well, does it? Because you were actually looking into Akashic Records. You were looking at past relationships that had come and gone and that you had lost and you had longed for. These are ancient memories, which you're not the only one that has them.
Right.
In fact, part of childhood is actually part of that same thing. Is our caller still on the line?
The caller is not on the air, but I would like to say that is Andrew from Talk Help from Blog Talk Radio, and we definitely appreciate his call and him calling in with the questions. And he did want to say thank you for answering his questions. He's still
wonderful! It's always a pleasure. I just had something else I want to address to him, but we'll move on. What you were actually looking into, Chad, was what is known as the Akasha Records. Into your own Dinadic idea or ideal of life. I have to say that when I was in northern India, and they had taught me, and I do teach to people that are ready for it, a meditation that's purpose is awakening to your own ancient history. And to open to you what's known as a Samhadi experience or a Godhead experience or Bodhisattva experience. And
that's where I wanted to go next. Interesting.
Well, there you go. And what happened is one afternoon, several hours before sunset, I began doing the meditation in Chad. The videotape that unfolded in front of me was incredible. The only difference between being a child and that experience was the fact that I had the ability at that age to comprehend what I was looking at.
Right.
I mean, imagine seeing yourself swinging on an oak tree in the late 1400s in England because you were a highwayman and you just held up the wrong carriage.
Right.
We've all been there and done things like that. And to see that, you have to be ready for it. You have to understand that you really didn't do anything wrong, but by society standards you did. What you did is learned basically not to either hold up the wrong carriage or, more importantly, not to steal. And then karma showed you the result of your experience. I mean, we can justify or do anything we want with that. We've all been Vikings. We've all been murderers. We've all been rapists, thugs, thieves, Vikings. We've raped, pillaged, and plundered. You can't imagine. Yes, we've been monks. We've been priests. We've done all of that. And the culmination of this lifetime is bringing all of those lifetimes to fruition. And to do that completely and fully, the intuitive sense also must be a part of it.
When you said about being in the monastery, I know you spent several years in both Vietnam and Tibet, or no, India.
India and Nepal.
In India and Nepal. And during that time, you know, your time in the monastery with the monks, did they have processes for developing just everyday intuition?
Yes.
When you mentioned about the what we call the mystical experience, the Godhead experience, but
yes.
What about just on an everyday basis? Is there something other than being present, being silent, being, listening. Is there anything else that people can do to develop this intuition